No, in 97, The God of Small Things came out, and in 98, suddenly we had a right-wing government in power and they did the nuclear tests. And the whole country was, celebrating the tests and celebrating. It was somehow the beginning of this kind of vicious form of nationalism, I think. And so I wrote an essay called The End of Imagination, criticizing those tests. And from then onwards, it began a journey into a different, into different things in this country, which as a writer, one needed to understand, before you write something else. So that took many years of traveling and talking and thinking, and because the country was changing so fast. No, I don't look at it like that. I think that all writers, one of the things that I, as a writer, value the most is understanding. And so often when I'm writing, when I'm traveling, when I'm talking to people, I'm also deepening my understanding of something, and that leads and did lead to the next book of fiction. So The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. So it isn't as though I think all these are different forms of literature. I think that the one thing where nobody can escape is politics. Even if you think there's no politics, there's politics. So, yes. See, it's not about sympathizing. These are all very weak words. What happens is that in central India, in Bastar, they had signed hundreds of MOUs. This is the Congress government at that point, handing over, against the constitution, handing over indigenous people's lands to multinational corporations for mining, for infrastructure. They had set up a vigilante army which was burning villages, raping women. Adivasi people were not able to live in their homes at night for fear of this Salva Judum or the police. And there was a Maoist, and there is a Maoist army in there. But I went inside just to say, look what's going on in the middle of 5 days walk from the main road in a village. What sort of Gandhian protest are you asking people to do? That's a form of political theater. You need an audience, and people who are starving inside there can't go on a hunger strike. So I was just highlighting the fact that there's huge environmental destruction, there's huge displacement, there's massive violence on these people. There is a force in there resisting it, but if nobody is going to talk about it in the way it should be talked about, then I'm going to talk about it. See, the thing is, we have to also stop saying only government, because now we are living in a society that has become right-wing. It's not only the government, it's society. That poison has entered the bloodstream also in society. The poisonous attitudes towards Muslims, towards Christians, towards the left, towards Adivasis and Dalits. So when Varavara Rao was arrested, and all the other people who are in jail now, who are known as the Bhima Koregaon people, they were arrested because the government is extremely worried about any connection. Like, they like to isolate movements. The left should be isolated, the anti-caste struggle should be isolated, the Muslims should be isolated. Everyone should fight their own battles. But the minute they sense there's any solidarity building between the left and the Dalit movement, or between the left and the Muslims, then they'll act, as they did in the anti-citizenship law protests, and when they arrested Varavara Rao and everybody else. I said without that for a long time, even when I wrote The God of Small Things, I got into a lot of trouble with the Communist Party and Marxist Party in Kerala, because they disagreed with how I thought the Communist Party has no idea of caste and has acted in the same way as oppressed dominant caste Hindus. The party was run by Brahmins and all this. So the what I was saying is that until the anti-caste movement understands capitalism, and until the anti-capitalist movements understand caste, both will go and stop at a certain point. They can't move beyond that barrier. But caste is the engine that runs Indian society. Unless you understand it, work against it, you can't get anywhere. No, I'm saying the disease is rooted in the caste system, and the capitalism, of course, comes much later here than the caste system. But caste is a system of a hierarchical system of self-surveillance where everybody has somebody below them to oppress. It's divided so cleverly, so it's self-surveillance, self-management. They were not. They wasn't charged. They were planning to. But what I said was that, and what I say today also, is that nobody can justify the way the Indian state has acted in Kashmir, and Kashmiris should be allowed to express their. It's not for me to say that they should be independent or not. It's for them to say. But you have to create a space. You cannot oppress people in this way. That's what I was saying. You cannot have the most dense military occupation in the world and then call yourself a democracy. You cannot put millions of people under communication siege. You cannot arrest thousands of people and keep them in jail the way they did after Section 370 was struck down and call yourself a democracy.
Weren't you scared at all when you...
Of course, you have to be scared all the time in this country, Like, you have to do things even when you're scared.
That is, you felt that...
If you have any intelligence, you have to be scared, Yes.
Nicely said. Nicely put.
The thing is that if you're a writer and then you stop writing and saying the things you think, you slowly start dying. You put yourself in jail. Before they put you in jail, you put yourself in jail. Then my choices: either don't write and become a yoga instructor or something, or write what you think, but there's no other space to be,
Not to speak.
Yeah.
So symbolically it means that we also can be the prisoner of our own.
We are in this country today, most of the population is living under fear, What happened in Kashmir is going to happen in India. No, writing is being as directly involved in politics as you can imagine, So I'm not going to be very effective in any other way, We have to know what we are good at. I'm not a good politician. Especially as a woman in the subcontinent, you most of the time swimming against the current. You're not trying to please people. You're annoying people. Yeah. So I don't think I would be a good politician. I have come to Bangladesh, and of course I feel I really want to come back, but not in. The problem is when I come to do an event or something, it's so public. There's no space to be private and quiet and go to places and travel. I want to do it like that, So
that's great.
Yeah, just.
And explain the experience of your last time visit in Bangladesh.
The last time visit was wonderful and exciting because Shahidul had invited me, and I was supposed to speak in a huge auditorium, and then last minute it was cancelled. Then there was a protest on the street. Then we were in some other space where everyone was squashed in, and then there was some issues about the police coming and wanting to check my visa in the middle of it. But then afterwards it was all resolved and I was given an apology. so it was okay. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and I really do hope that I can come back.
Thank you very much
Yes.
for saying so.
The situation is that this country, which once was talking about revolution and land reform and land to the tiller, now people are reduced to fighting for their citizenship. The big BBC Hindenburg scandal, where you have one single industrialist who made it to the second richest man in the world in this poor country. And today he's been accused of pulling off the largest fraud in corporate history. And he and Modi are old friends. And the government has not seen it fit to give one single intelligent response to this. So this country is in a lot of trouble, and it's coming up for elections, and elections are a very dangerous time, especially for minorities, Muslims and Christians in particular. Last year, Muslims, as you know, apart from the Gujarat massacre, even in 2020 there was a Delhi massacre. People are being lynched on the roads. People are having their homes and businesses bulldozed. People are being ghettoized, socially ostracized. Against Christians, there were 300 attacks last year. So, and it's an election year, so all the knobs are going to be turned too high. And they are great friends. Well, it's not different to the people of Bangladesh or the people of anywhere. I think that one of the great things that greatly interests me is how people in this part of the world accept suffering without feeling rage. Half the job of all the people in this room is that they are more angry than the people on whose behalf they are fighting.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting question. Why is it that people are willing to say that we are willing to starve, we are willing to pay 500 rupees a litre for petrol, but we want Hindu Rashtra? Then what can you say? That's, I think, the problem. All people are not saying that, but eventually the engine that these compromised elections support, that's what's happening.
Thank you very much
Okay.
for being with us and giving us time.
They are the people who attacked us. Certainly attack some people like me all the time for using the word fascism, say, oh no, this is just another right-wing bourgeois party, India needs another space. Anyway, so today we are in a state where, according to the latest Oxfam study, 5% of Indians own 60% of the country's wealth. मतलब 5% लोग 60% हमारे देश का वेल्थ को ओन करते हैं और the richest 21 people, मतलब सबसे अमीर जो 21 लोग हैं उनका धन जो है 30 करोड़ लोगों का मुताबिक है। अब इसमें आपको देखना होगा ये जो बड़े-बड़े इंडस्ट्रीज जो है जिनका सबसे ऊपर अडानी का नाम आते हैं, वो इंडस्ट्रीज अडानी, अंबानी, जिंदल, मित्तल सब एक ही क्या कहते हैं, मतलब बनिया जैन ट्रेडिंग कास्ट के हैं। ये हम देख रहे हैं, ये हमारे जो मीडिया है उसका ओनरशिप किसके हाथ में है, जो एडिटरशिप है वो किसके हाथ में, हम ये अनदेखा नहीं कर सकते हैं। और अब I just want to talk about this Hindenburg BBC moment. बहुत साल पहले in the 1980s, I keep saying that 2 locks were open, वो ताले खोले गए थे, बाबरी मस्जिद का और बगाड़ का, और उसमें से 2 किस्म के totalitarianism निकला, एक तो Hindu fascism and the other the free market fascism. Both had their own version of the terrorists. You had the Maoist terrorists, you had the jihadi terrorists. Both made the streets securitized themselves with these fake phantom terrorists of this. हम लोग सब उसमें आ गए थे, या तो अब जिहादी है या अर्बन नक्सल है या जो भी है। अच्छा, अब वो दो ताले का चाबी आज हमें मिल गया, मोदी और अडानी। मतलब ये पूरा जो आइडियोलॉजी है अब दो इंडिविजुअल्स में आ गए। The concentration of wealth that capitalism produces and this fascist movement that has to have that single strong man. So today, जैसे आपको शायद मालूम ही होगा कि 2002 के जो जेनोसाइड था उसके बाद ओल्ड फैशन काफी सारे इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट ने मोदी को क्रिटिसाइज किया था। तब जाके अडानी और बाकी कुछ इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट गुजरात के उन्होंने अलग सा फॉर्म बनाया, कन्फेडरेसी ऑफ इंडियन इंडस्ट्रीज को छोड़ के अलग सा रिसर्जेंट गुजरात, और उसमें उसके बाद वाइब्रेंट गुजरात बना दिया। और वहाँ से हमें गुजरात मॉडल ऑफ डेवलपमेंट आगे थे, मतलब वायलेंट हिंदू fascism underwritten by serious corporate money. This is the Gujarat model, which now today has become the model for India. So Adani today owns 12 shipping ports that accounts for the movement of 30% of India's trade, 7 airports that handle 23% of Indian airline passengers, warehouses that hold 30% of India's grain. मतलब पहले अडानी का गोदाम बन गया था, उसके बाद किसान का कानून, तीन कारण। It owns and operates power plants that are the biggest generators of the country's private electricity. पहले मोदी जब गुजरात से दिल्ली आए तो आपने सब देखा होगा अडानी वाला प्लेन। अब पहले मोदी अडानी के प्लेन में जाते थे, अब अडानी मोदी के प्लेन में जाते हैं। और अब जो हुआ है, जो हिंडनबर्ग का रिपोर्ट से हुआ है, सारा इंटरनेशनल फाइनेंशियल बैंक्स अडानी को पैसे देने के लिए मना कर रहे हैं, लेकिन ये सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स उनके पास है, तो वो कैसे चलाएंगे आगे से? या तो आपको स्टेट बैंक को जबरदस्ती करना होगा कि आप पैसे दो, आम जनता का पैसा दो, LIC और पैसा दो, ये कैसे चलेंगे? नहीं तो जल्दी इलेक्शन बुलाएंगे। ये बहुत बड़ा क्राइसिस है आज यहाँ पे। और जब ये स्कैंडल निकला तो पुलिस और इनकम टैक्स किसके दफ्तर में पहुंचे? अडानी का नहीं, BBC का दफ्तर में पहुंचे हैं। और आपको ये बहुत सीरियसली लेना पड़ेगा कि कोई भी सरकार बाहर का कुछ नहीं था, ना UK का सरकार, ना अमेरिका का सरकार, किसी ने कुछ नहीं कहा। क्यों? क्योंकि अगले दिन जो खबर आया था कि मोदी गवर्नमेंट इज बाइंग 420 Airbuses and Boeing. Joe Biden, after a warm and fruitful meeting, ने कहा कि हम बहुत खुश हैं, अमेरिका में हमें 10 लाख नौकरी मिलेगी इस डील से। सब मतलब बड़ा चढ़ा के बोलते हैं। ऋषि सुनाक ने कहा रोज रोज का इंजन होगा इस प्लेन में, हम बहुत खुश हैं। तो आप कतलेआम कर लो, आप BBC पे रेड कर लो, आप कुछ भी कर लो, लेकिन ये धंधा चलाते रहो। तो इस क्राइसिस में जैसे ये 2 BBC फिल्म, मुझे पता नहीं आप लोगों ने देखा कि नहीं, मैंने देखा है और उसमें मैं भी हूँ। और एक चीज़ मैंने कहा कि मैं ये इंटरव्यू BBC को क्यों दे रही हूँ, इसीलिए नहीं दे रही हूँ कि हम लोग सोचते कि बाहर से कोई मदद करेंगे, हमें कोई भी मदद नहीं करेंगे। हम इसलिए दे रहे हैं क्योंकि हमें रिपोर्ट चाहिए, इतिहास में रिपोर्ट चाहिए कि हम में से बहुत से लोग हैं जो इसके साथ सहमत नहीं थे, इस फासिस्ट पॉलिसी के साथ। जिंदाबाद।